be pretty easy. When you add and subtract things, what do you focus on? Like terms. You've been doing that for a minute. So we're going to focus on like terms. I'm going to go through here and waste the time identifying them. But 2x cubed is like what? X cubed. 2x cubed plus an x cubed. How many x cubes are there? There are 3 of them. Some kids mess that all up. They say funny things. But there's 3 of them, aren't there? There's 1 here, 2 there. There's 3 of them. I've never been able to understand that level of confusion in a kid. I've tried to think about it, but I quit thinking about it because it made me dumber. Negative 5x squared plus 6x squared. How many x squareds do you actually have in your hand? One of them. 1x squared. You got a nice light pink here, a negative 3x, a positive 3x. Are there any other 3x's up there? What are you going to write? Plus 3x. The last 2 things you have that are common, that are alike, are the constants. Negative 9 plus 11, that's to what, Jace? What did you say, Jace? 2. That's not really algebra 2. Is it? Oh, that's too easy. You might have done that in 8th grade. They may not have had a 3rd degree exponent, but it's just like terms. We're not going to do another example of that. That'd be a waste of our life. You can do that in your homework. Here's subtraction. Subtraction is where it hurts. I don't know why, but it's where it hurts. And you can argue with me with your failing little grade, whatever. The very first thing a kid should do is distribute the negative. There's lots of ways of doing that. Myself, I've always just written a line. But the very first thing a kid should do is distribute the negative. Some kids like to do the work in parentheses. The problem is it gets all bundled up and they make a sign mistake. What happens when you multiply something by a negative? Changes sign. You can't say it becomes negative. That's not true. Because if it was negative, what's it become? And you can't say it becomes positive, because that's not true. Because if it was positive, it becomes negative. Multiplication of a negative is a sign change operation. So negative 8x cubed, what's this negative x squared become? Positive x squared. How about that negative 5x? Plus 5x. And how about that positive 1? I'm not going to bother recopying this. I just wanted to get my sign distributed so that I can combine like terms. You change subtraction to addition by doing that. That's what you do. So I see a 3x cubed and I see a negative 8x cubed. Nolan, how many are there? That's right, there's negative 5 of them. I see a 2x squared and a positive x squared. How many x squareds do we possess, Jesse? 3 of them. Nick, I see a negative x. Down here, a positive 5x. How many you got? 4 of them. And everybody can do the numbers. I see it 7 minus 1. That's the number. We got the x plus 6. So I don't think that's going to bug anybody. We're not going to do an example. All right, you'll just focus on likes. No matter what you see, focus on likes. So here's multiplication. We're going to use what's called the double distributive property to handle this thing. There's such a thing as triple distributive property. There might be one of those in your homework. This is the double distributive property. What I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the y, and then I'm going to distribute the negative 2. And to make that a little bit easier, I'm actually going to rearrange what I'm given. And you don't have to do this rearrangement. You don't. I personally wouldn't do it, but kids are going to have better luck if they do. Is 2 times 3 the same thing as 3 times 2? It is. And for a lot of kids, 2 times 3 is easier than 3 times 2. It doesn't make much sense, does it, Nolan? For some people, it is easier to do it that way. Small first, big last. It's especially true when it's something like this. But since 2 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 2, and that works for numbers, it has to work for everything in mathematics. I would suggest a kid rearrange it. I really think you should rearrange it. I think you'll have better luck than not. Yeah, did you change anything? That's still gotta be the same thing. If you accept in your heart that twice of 3 is the same thing as 3 times 2, then this has to be true, isn't it?
Was that first one a Y or a negative word?
It's a Y.
Okay, let's go.
Just like it was originally. Now, kick in your distributive property. So I'm going to Y everything in the second set. What happens when you Y a negative 2y squared?
It becomes a negative 2y.
Negative 2y cubed. Some kids say that's like negative 3y, and they drop the square and get over it. If you think that y times y squared is anything other than y cubed, it's time to just go ahead and knock yourself upside the head and realize it's not. Y times y squared is y cubed. Well, y times negative 2y squared is negative 2y cubed. How about a y times 3y? Y squared. How about a y times negative 6? Negative 6y. That ain't hard. Really not. So I'm done with the negative, I'm done with the y, so what am I gonna move on to? Negative 2. Nick, what's a negative 2 times negative 2y squared? You know, what's negative 2 times negative 2? Not negative 4. It's 4. Well, I still need. Still missing. Y squared. We're gonna have that y squared. Madison, how about a negative 2 times 3y? What kind of 6? Negative. Anything missing?
Y squared.
No, y squared.
Y cubed.
No, we're right here.
So. Y.
Y. About negative 2 times negative 6, guys. Well, and then congratulations, you're on our first slide of the day. Mine likes. Go with whatever's got the big exponent here. Negative 2y cubed, please. Now, some kids like to throw things away as they use them. It's really a good idea. It's nice to look at, isn't it? It is. So we're going to focus on the y squares next. I see a 3y squared and a 4y squared. How many do you have in hand? 7. And again, it's not a bad idea to throw things away as you use them. How many y's are you in possession of? Negative 12, negative 6, negative 6, and negative 12. On and on. Plus 12. It's up to you if you throw it away like that or not. I don't care. As problems get longer and longer and longer, I too do that. When there's 20 things in front of me, and that happens quite often, maybe not in Serena or 2, but in the other classes I teach, I throw things away as I use them because it's just too much to look at. Anyways, there's you try it. So, you try it. Most of you will figure it out. I'll give you a minute before I walk around and look at it. So if you're just sitting there sucking air because you ain't been listening to me, I asked you to do the U-try. You don't want to do the U-try, practice holding your breath till we're done. That is a very important life skill if you're ever drowning. It could be. 20 years from now, you could be on the verge of drowning, and because you didn't do anything in my class and you listened to me, you'd be like, Mr. Milbrath saved my life. He told me to quit breathing. Well, this is an easy one to grade. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got 9 out of 40. What is wrong with you? I'm sure the board is running. 700 that you got that answer stored in your head somewhere. It's like some stuff. You got to do the third one. And the first one, so the third one. So we'll do the third one. That's it. Then move on to the next one, and just read all your uses. I'd love to give you guys more time on that, but you know we don't have it. Over half of you got it. So I'm just going to work it out. I'm going to do the rearrange. Because I think it is easier mentally. I do think it's easier to do it. Right to left and left to right. How many of y'all did that? How many of you did it? It is easier. I promise you it is. I've done this for a long time. You don't have to. I'm going to X everything. By the way, think about this. This thing has 2 things. This thing has 3 things. How many things are you going to write down? 6. Because 2 times 3 is. You're going to write down the 6 things before you combine their terms. Something with 2 times something with 3 is going to be something with 6. What was that? Oh yeah, 3x to the 3rd power, right? Minus 5x squared plus 7x. That handles the first one. And then up here at the board, I haven't been leaving much room between things. That's why you got stuck, right? Remember you said you didn't know what to do? Yeah. That's because you left a whole lot of room. That's why I don't leave hardly any room when I do it. I just move on to the next thing and I put it right next. Minus 9x to the 2nd plus 15x minus 21. See, I wouldn't have that issue that you had. I didn't see that gap. That gap is what threw me off. Then it's like terms. I only see 1 3x cubed. When I put these guys together, negative 5 minus 9, that's counting left, is negative 14. That's a cube. And then I've got just added 7's missing x, isn't it? 7 15 makes 22. And I've got that lonely minus 21. It's not a lot of work. It's not. I know you think it's a lot of work. There's a lot of that has to do with the speed at which you work, too. Get faster. Get faster. How do you get faster?
Practice.
Buttloads of practice. That's how you get faster at it. Copying off Snapchat, you might be copying pretty quick, and I can tell by your crappy, sloppy handwriting, because it don't look the same as when you take a quiz and you're sitting there working slow. It ain't doing any good. I get that kids cheat. I get top 10's the worst cheaters in high school. But when they cheat, they actually try to figure out what the person did. They do, for the most part. Oh, how'd you do that? Oh, that's how you did it. There's actually some thinking going on, because I know darn well there's going to be a test. All right, this one is about writing expression for the volume of a rectangular prism. It's exciting stuff. Think back to 8th grade and tell me how you find the volume of a prism. Times width times height. That's how volume is found for a prism. The volume of a prism is the length times the width times the height. I had put that on the formula quiz because for some reason if you throw it on the formula quiz too early, kids start writing that down for how you find the area of the rectangle. Most darn thing. And then you start seeing funny things like LWI. I don't know what kind of drugs y'all are on, but I guess I want them. We're going to do this thing as volume as expression of x because we're going to replace length, width, and height with these expressions of x. What can I replace the L with? X minus 5. What can I replace that width with? X plus 1. What can I replace that height with? 2x plus 3. Now, it does talk about good old STD form, standard. Okay? Is that in a standard form? No. No, really suck at factoring. That is in factored form. Doesn't that look like something that's been factored? It's called factored form. Because it looks like something that's been factored. This is factored form. How are we going to get it in standard form? We knew what we just did. Well, probably. You know, how the deuce are you going to combine that term? So just explain this to me. I'm curious.
You said what?
I don't know yet. Let me into Nolan's mind. How are you going to combine like terms?
Oh, his mind is full of
It might be a him.
penises.
You're going to pick on two things. And what are you going to do with those two things? Boil. You're going to boil. The reason I wrote the bracket here was just because I'm picking on those two and I want to put emphasis. That's what I'm working with right now. It's a hard bracket. Yeah, foiling is just that distributive property, isn't it? X both pieces. What happens when you x plus 1? X plus 1, what do you get? X squared plus x. And now you negative 5x plus 1. Negative 5x plus negative 5, which we'll write as minus 5. You still got that 2x plus 3. Now I'm going to save a line here where I rearrange things. Remember how we did the last one where you could put that 2x plus 3 out front? I'm going to do that here just to save a line on the board. Because that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be smaller than whatever this thing is. We'll combine like terms and stuff in those hard brackets. How many terms are you going to have? 3. Because you can put these guys together. And I'm going to drop the brackets. X minus 5x is?
Negative 5x. Or, yeah, negative 5x.
1 minus 5. Overthinking this.
No, I thought they were both a negative. I'm sorry.
And then it's what you just did. I'm actually going to leave that. What you guys need to do is you need to double distribute. I really don't like working with integrated studies. Looks like we're going to, but I don't like to. Here's the last thing we're going to do. It's actually a really simple question. The EOC loves to throw stuff at this like you. And you watch kids miss this thing because I walk around while you take it and I just judge you very harshly as you take this test. I say a lot of things in my head to entertain myself. I'm not going to lie, I do. But that's besides the fact. This is a ridiculously easy question. It says, even though it's talking about widgets, who cares? The revenue from selling widgets can be modeled by the function. Revenue is a function of x is 3x squared plus 42x minus 40. The cost of making these widgets, C of x, is 2x squared plus 60x plus 10. Then it says find the profit function. How did you know you were going to subtract them from each other? Yep, once you're done, we'll talk about how you knew that.
Not being played. Annual round sale for 60 bucks. Santa help was reduced the volunteers to help prepare up for all the gifts for local children. You can get community service hours out of that. And there's a phone number and an email on the announcement sheet. That you contact Ms. Powers in regard to if you want to help with that. Again, seniors, museum scholarship aviary is open. You check on that as well as the scholarship shelf. The city of Dresden needs volunteers for the food drive at the farmers market this Saturday, 10 to 2. Excellent opportunity for the community service. Ethics Bowl, again, sponsor the community food drive. The SCCLA's got a project with the Hillview Community Center in Dresden. The prizes for bingo, these announcements on the sheet, again, read those to the students. That bingo ball is going all the way through the levels, which is next Friday. And no ball game tonight. Next game is Tuesday at home in Bradford. And next Friday at South Wilton. Tonight's game will be on the 14th. And again, the Bradford game, as far as tickets go, would be pre-sale players, cheerleaders, the students can get them Monday, public on Tuesday. And again, no gate sales at the gate. Have a great, safe weekend. Stay safe, stay well, mask up, distance. Again, do not be students out in the hallway during direct study. You have a great weekend.
All right, Kendall said something, but do you remember what Kendall said? Subtract. Why? Because we're finding profit, right? Say, let's just do so we can be PG because I'm recording. Say you're selling lemonade on the side of the road and you sell $40 worth of lemonade. That's your revenue, isn't it? Okay. It cost you $10 to make that lemonade. Your profit is 30 because profit is revenue minus cost. That's what profit is. You know, but a lot of kids, when they see stuff like this on their EOC, man, they ain't thinking about lemonade. It's really simple. You think about terms like that. That's what profit is. Revenue take away cost. So this profit function that they want us to find has to be the revenue function minus the cost function. That's all it is. It's the revenue function minus the cost function. Which is really easy to do. That's the first slide, isn't it? I should probably rearrange this so it's actually in better order next year. But profit, I won't waste your time working all this out. Is that 3x squared plus 42x minus 40. Take away the revenue function. Now, the revenue function has three pieces. What should you do with it? Wrap it. You should wrap it. Otherwise, the only thing you're going to take away is the first piece. You should wrap it. I guess because I am recording this lesson, I'm going to do it real quick. 3 take away 2 is just an x squared. 42 take away 60 is minus 18x. And negative 40 minus 10 is minus 50. So there's your actual profit function. Whatever you're selling up here, if you plug a number in, it will tell you your profit. It's not always going to be positive if you think about the real world either. It costs a lot of money to turn the lights on and hire employees. I think whatever this thing is, you've got to plug in almost at 30 before you actually start breaking But that's your profit function. It's not a hard skill. Anyways, you guys got your notes, you got your homework, and you got time to do it. Yeah, I reckon. Real quick. You shake it more than twice,